Take up, put that on, wait, life straight, ice skate, surfing at a wrist card, 10 to pink toes.
Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm here at Studio RSR getting my brake fluid changed out before the track day this weekend. I'm here with Toby. He's the shop owner, and he's just going to basically talk about the importance of why you should change out your brake fluid basically after every track day.
Yeah, so one of the big things we notice when we do track support for a lot of our clients is that, you know, suspension, power, interior seats or something is always a big focus when people are making their shopping list for their track build. But what goes unforeseen sometimes is the need for brake lines in some cars, and obviously upgraded brake fluid and brake pads. That's always the number one weakness. So when you turn up the power on a car, you also need to turn up the braking power. And the reason being is, luckily on newer cars like the F80 M3 or the F82 M4, they don't really need brake lines. The brake lines are so good from the factory, they don't expand under heat. Older cars like an E36 for sure, yeah. E46, M3, those still need brake lines. So newer cars like this, it's very easy to get on track. All you need is an upgraded brake pad set and new brake fluid. So I think Gabe had a pretty live experience with that.
Yeah, in my past videos, I had a day at Laguna Seca where basically my brake fluid, I had 660 in here, Motul 660, and had an incident where it all fell out of the car, and I used some cheap shit because I was leaving the next day, and that was a big mistake because I almost crashed on the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, but yeah, no, none of that anymore.
No more cheap shit.
No.
So the reason too is like there's a lot of different types of brake fluid, right? We won't go into DOT 1, 2, 3, or 4. You always got to use what the manufacturer recommends in that aspect. But when you go into the subcategories of DOT 4, 3, whatever it may be, there's racing brake fluid. And the reason for that is because companies like Motul, who make the 600 or the 660 RBF, they design it, or they made the fluid. Yeah, so the brake fluid is hydrophilic, meaning that it likes water. So throughout time, when you put in more duty cycles with the brake fluid, it's not a fully sealed system, right? Nothing's perfect. So there's water and moisture that's going to get in there. And when that happens, water has a lower boiling point than brake fluid does. And when that happens, the water separates, air pockets get created. And when you go to hit your brakes, there's a spongy feeling because it's not all fluid or brake fluid. There's pockets of air or water being compressed. So imagine like a bunch of different pieces of water throughout the line, and then it's all compressing differently. That's why you get that spongy feeling.
Yeah, that's why it's important to change your brake fluid pretty much after every track day, after every 1 or 2 track days, depending on how hard you've gone on the brakes. Some tracks are harder on the brakes than others. Laguna Seca is notorious for being a killer on the brakes, which is what happened to me.
Chuckwalla
too, there's some brake zones where
it's also because it's pretty hot out in Chuckwalla.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. You got anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, besides that, different braking compounds go into the style of braking that you like, whether you're a trail braker or you like hard initial bite. But the brake fluid has to be your constant. Without that, then you can't mess around with the different brake pads, and you won't learn as a driver if you don't have the base components that you need to be fast on track. And that way you're going into the last or the turn 1 at like 130, and then you go to hit the brakes and then there's nothing there. You need to have that confidence in the car.
Yeah, and also like you touched on the brake pads, there's a lot of different compounds. I'm running TFC 08s on the car right now. I was running Hawk DTC 70s and 60s, that combination. Yeah. That combination is extremely high torque, so like you legit like put a big toe on the car and like you're coming to a stop.
Oh yeah.
This not so much. You can dig into the brake pedal. I kind of like this better, just because like I'm not shaving off too much speed every time I come into a turn trying to exit or something. I'd be carrying more speed. So I guess it's just trying different things, testing different things out until you find what's best for you, like you said.
Yeah.
Fits your driving style.
We should, do another thing where we talk about late braking. Late braking is not always the best thing to do on track, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we could talk more about that in another episode or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it, guys. I mean, you guys have seen my brake fluid jobs on the F80 chassis, so I'm not really going to do a DIY. Plus, they have better tools than I do at the house. So, yeah, that'll wrap it up. If you guys have any questions, drop it in the comment section below. Other than that, take it easy.
Later, guys.
3 days later.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Today's video, or the conclusion of this video, is going to be my most recent track day at Chuckwalla this past weekend on Halloween. I'll probably put this video out either Monday or Sunday, but what you're seeing here is a track battle with Toby, or Rob, however you know him. I give him a lot of shit for having two names, but he is the shop owner of Studio RSR, and him and I are good buddies. We track together frequently, we talk frequently, and we had a good couple stints together with each other here on track in his Mark V Supra. It is VF tuned, making about 450 horsepower, weighing in around 3,300 pounds, against the F80, which is fully gutted, weighing about 3,300 pounds as well. The Supra is definitely a serious track tool. I gained a lot of respect. I also know Toby is a hell of a driver. He's faster than I am. He's a hell of a driver, so I'll give him that, as well as that chassis definitely has the lower center of gravity compared to the F80. It's a lot smaller as well. Seems like he's able to toss that thing in corners a lot easier than I am. In the F80, the F80 is no slouch, and it's definitely lost some weight with being gutted, so I'm not going to go ahead and try and make any excuses here. I think this is a good matchup for both cars. I am making around 500 to 520 wheel horsepower, so I do have the horsepower advantage. Both of us have passengers in this video and in the next video, but overall it was a good time. You can see he pulled some ground on me. This is only our first actual lap, so after that, I mean, I started to get some heat in the tires, and I start to catch him. We start to hit traffic. This is an open passing session, so basically whatever happens, just be smart about it. And then we started getting serious, so closing the gap on him pretty quickly now with heat in the tires, like I said, light on the brakes, hitting the uphill. I cleaned up my lines. I learned from Eric's lines and used those, and it definitely helped out a lot. Now, we weren't running timed at all. We weren't trying to time each other or our laps, so really wasn't too concerned, just trying to go out and have fun with passengers. I get him on the outside and still make that apex for the corkscrew, and yeah, after this I pretty much pull some distance on him, and he was having fuel starvation issues, specifically through that bowl turn right there, just because he was low on fuel and it was sending him into limp mode. That issue also happened to me earlier in the day, where I wasn't realizing how much gas I had left, and put the car in limp mode. And yeah, it's not really a fun thing to happen on track, especially when you're going, all out. All of a sudden the car tells you drivetrain malfunction, and you're like, oh shit, what just happened? Definitely not what you want. It's not ideal, but yeah, overall that was a good little run right there. And then here is our next run. Here we are, and with some different passengers this time. We pulled in, swapped out some guys that wanted to go out for a ride with us, and as you can see, maybe you can, maybe you can't, there's a GTR way up there. That dude was extremely fast, full aero GTR. Definitely wasn't stock on power, because on the straights on this track, that dude just gapped the shit out of me. So that was pretty impressive. But here we are back at it again. You can see on this final turn, coming onto the turn, the finish line straight, Toby takes a completely different line than I do. He's trying to line up a little better run. To be honest with you, I'm not sure if it would work out for my car, which is why I do that decreasing radius. I try to cut inside right here, but I didn't want to do anything stupid. We're not, you know, this isn't a race. It's just a track day, and I let him go by. I just didn't want to pinch us into it kind of bottlenecks right there. I didn't want to pinch us both in there, so let him take his spot back. We were pretty much side by side right there. That outside line definitely, that's not where you want to be. So I let him have it back. Long sweeper right here. I love this turn, man. You can get so much speed on it. We catch up to Miata right here on the turn entry of the next sweeper. Apex and punch out. He kind of runs it wide, gets in the way, so we have to cut back inside, and I'm able to get a great power drive out of that turn compared to Toby, and once again able to make a pass shortly after. Because of this speed I'm able to maintain through this section. You could tell he was having trouble with this section. His tires were pretty much heat cycled out, which gave me plenty of opportunities to gain ground on him through the turns. We make the pass stick this time and put some good distance on him. So that is pretty much it. There's one more lap that I'm going to tack on to the end of this video if you guys are interested. Not sure about what times I was running, but we usually run around a 2 flat without actually trying to set any records or PBs. We're running about a 2 flat, so you can pretty much average it out to 2 flat, somewhere around there on the day. But yeah, overall great time with friends. Great time having passengers. As you can see in the cockpit, 2 wires running from helmet to helmet, and that's actually this little radio. It's called the chatterbox that I picked up from a winding road, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to just have in your helmet and be able to talk a little bit between you and your passenger. Yeah, and it helped me actually with the guys that we took out there for the first time. It just helped me be able to have them in the car and tell them why I'm doing what I'm doing and where they need to position their car to have a decent line. I'm no professional, but I've done this track a couple times and feel like I have a pretty decent line. So kind of wanted to share that knowledge with these guys who have never tracked before. So if you guys liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions for me. Yeah, and I'll get back to it as soon as possible. Other than that, you guys have a good one. Later.